again, as we try to build your sales pitch and give you direction for what you can do. And by the way, we're going to give you clear, exact things to do uh, in terms of your sales pitch. And I do want to point out, I've actually never sold insurance, but a lot of my clients have. And what we provide at SalesScripter is more of a methodology and tool set. And our tool set and methodology fits really nicely with insurance. And so I'm going to go through some examples and use some insurance industry lingo in our when we talk about the pitch. And I don't want you to get too hung up on the exact examples that I use because they might not be perfect. But what you can do is you can take the models and the model and the methodology and the tactics and apply them to your world and the products that you sell. And you should leave this webinar with clear, exact direction. I'm real big on. I attend a lot of training sessions, and you get a lot of either fluffy stuff and stuff that sounds good, but you don't really know exactly how to implement or what to do. You will have crystal clear steps of what to do. But if we factor in those assumptions, how should that impact the pitch that we put together? Well, the way that the methodology that we use really uses pre-qualifying questions at the core of the pitch. A lot of salespeople, when they think about the sales pitch, they try to think about, okay, how am I going to describe my products and my company in such a way that it's going to be enticing and that it's going to get the prospect ready to buy. I personally think the best sales pitch is the one that has the best questions at the center of it, and I believe that it's the best salesperson is the one that asks the best questions. So it's not really how are you going to explain your stuff in the fanciest, most persuasive way. It's how are you going to develop the key questions that you need to ask to get the prospect talking. So if you really develop the right questions, and again, I'm going to give you exact direction on how you could compose the optimum list of questions that you should be asking, this is going to accomplish a few real powerful things for you. One is asking good questions is going to help you to narrow into that quadrant of the pie that I said that salespeople should focus on. Instead of trying to sell to everybody, you should focus on those that may fit. And what your pre-qualifying questions are, by the way, pre-qualifying questions are probing questions to determine, does it even make sense for us to talk? Is there even the slightest chance of there being a fit? And if you get answers to your pre-qualifying questions that determine it's not a fit, you can then move on and not try to spend your valuable time chasing that prospect. So these questions are also, you heard me mention in one of the assumptions about salespeople, about prospects, that they get sold to a lot. And if they get sold to a lot, their guard is going to be at a medium level because they get tired of people trying to sell to them. Well, if your pitch has pre-qualifying questions at the core of it, this makes your sales pitch more conversational, gets the prospect talking, and that can help you to get around that assumption that people don't like buying, they're not in buying mode, they get sold to a lot. So I also think that asking questions, I want you to be more in a planting seeds than picking fruit mode. You heard me mention that a lot of salespeople just look for those that are ready and able to buy today. That is a picking fruit mindset. You think about a farmer walking through an orchard and looking for the trees that are bearing fruit and going and picking the fruit. That's a totally different mindset than the farmer that's planting those seeds, and so your questions will help you to go in that direction. Now, this is a slide that I go to a lot in a lot of my presentations. I think it's really important to sort of break down the early sales cycle stages that you need to navigate and go through. And we're here to talk about building a strong sales pitch. And so why am I showing you sales process stages? Well, the thing is that if the type of sales pitch that you use, or the portion of your sales pitch that you use, is different depending on the sales cycle stage that you're in. And a lot of salespeople might just sort of have one pitch and they'll just go out and say the same thing all the time. But what I truly believe is that the first time you interact with a prospect, and this could be on a cold call, it could be them calling you, it could be over an email, it could be at an event, you have 2 to 5 minutes. And so you really can't go into your whole pitch. You really just need to skim the surface. And so I recommend this is the best time, one of the best uses of this time is to really use your pre-qualifying questions and that I mentioned to you, and to keep about 80% of this interaction on the prospect. By the way, your pre-qualifying questions are going to help you to do that because they get the prospect talking. Your questions are more about them than about you, and then you want to use that 20% to not close the sale, but to close the next step in your process, which might be just having a conversation, and that could be an appointment or a meeting. And again, this kind of gets, so the combination of asking pre-qualifying questions eliminates you from selling to everybody, and then trying to close for the meeting instead of looking for who you can close for the sale helps you to eliminate that misstep of trying to look for the fruit. This puts you more in the planting the seed stage and positions you to build relationships and fill up your pipeline and get conversations going so that you can be there and well positioned for when those prospects are either ready to buy purchase insurance in areas where they aren't using anything today, or it positions you to be there when they are their current insurance products are expiring or when they're ready to make a change. Now, your sales process might change depending on how you're interacting with someone, who you're interacting with, what your actual sales cycle is. So here's a modification of what I just showed you, which combines those first two steps. You might have your first appointment, first meeting at the first time speaking with someone, and you can go through your sales process that way. Or here's another alternative where you sort of have your first conversation and some sort of presentation or a presentation of information or of your company at the same time. But getting into a little sales process detail there, let me just keep moving forward. Here's a tactic I want to share with you called a soft disqualify, a soft takeaway. And there's a time and place when you want to do a takeaway from a prospect, but when we add the word soft in there, it's actually not a full takeaway. It's just a slight mention of doubt on whether or not there's a fit. And the reason why I include this when we're talking about your sales pitch is that it can be extremely powerful to include a soft disqualify early in your pitch. What this does, and the reason why I went through those assumptions at the beginning is because I mentioned a couple things. One is prospects get sold to a lot, they're not in buying mode, and so on. So you just really you can often picture a prospect that has their guard at a medium level. This is really regardless of if they're receiving your email or you're talking to them at an event or whatnot. And so what a soft disqualify statement does is it decreases that guardedness, and it doesn't open them wide open. And what it also doesn't do is there are certain things you can say that triggers more guardedness. I think that the average salesperson that comes out of the gate with that product company sales pitch that says something about I'm with this company, we sell this, that makes a prospect's guard go up. So if you don't do that, and then if you include a soft disqualify statement, then not only are you not triggering the guard to go up, but you actually can make the guard go down a little bit. And so the difference between those two is really great. And that making those small changes in your sales pitch you can see immediate results. So I disqualify people all the time. Someone might answer the phone and I might say, hey, I'm not sure if you're the right person for me to connect with, but I'm trying to find such and such. If I'm talking to a prospect, I might say something like, hey, I don't know if we can help you in the same way that we've helped some other companies, and you just keep going after that. But when they hear that, they immediately hear, okay, here's someone who's not going to try to hard sell me into what they're trying to do. All right, so those are some core concepts that lay the foundation for different pieces that we build on top of that, and and I'm going to go through with you these stages one by one